it's me, Stephen Thomas with Reports on Housing. I'm coming to you on August 29th, Friday. It is Labor Day weekend. Hard to believe it's like the last hurrah of summertime. And bring you another housing debrief. And last week we talked about properly setting expectations for sellers, a seller's reality check. And it's kind of now time for a buyer's reality check. It's like home buyers, stop doing this. And really, I want to proper calibrate the expectations of buyers because everybody hears how, oh my gosh, the market's slowing down, prices are going down. Yippee, this is the beginning. And I need everybody just to reel that in a little bit. It's like sellers, they get out of whack on their expectations, and so do buyers. And you really need to look at what's going on in the marketplace. And quite frankly, I would shut my ears and not listen to all the noise that's out there because all the noise are meant to draw in viewers and for people to read articles. And pretty much what sells is negativity. I will tell you, I could do spins on all these things and it would be positive headlines and nobody would listen to it because nobody likes to look at the positive stuff. They're all waiting for the negative stuff. And if they see it, they go, oh, is that what's happening? They click on it. And that's where they rack up the views. So you need to hold back your excitement and exhilaration. This is a good time to be a buyer, absolutely. And there are far more choices out there. You could definitely take your time on most properties, but it's not all properties either. So this is going to be a bit of an education for everybody. And what this is the home price indices across the United States. There are several of them. And the ones that we're talking about aren't the median sales price. Median sales price is not the best gauge. The best gauge are these home price indexes. We follow a whole bunch of them. The Freddie Mac Home Price Index. Case-Shiller has one. It's a little bit more dated, but it does a rolling average of like 3 months, and it's a bit dated by the time it comes out. So we like to look at ICE. We also like to look at Freddie Mac's Home Price Index. And we even peer under the hood of Zillow because Zillow takes it down to various markets. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit. I'm just trying to show you this. I'm gonna zoom in so that you can see it. This is across the United States. This is the ICE Home Price Index, formerly Black Knight. And you can see where there's some negativity. The negativity is in the gray. And some of the gray is actually colored wrong. If you see on California, Orange County should actually be slight increase because it's up 0.5%. But all the other markets, you can see some of them are 0%, some of them are down like 0.3. You could see Vegas there's at 0.4. There's another one that's up 0.8. Really, where you're seeing a lot of the negativity is there are very few markets in Texas. And it's Florida where you see a lot of the negativity, and that is year over year from last July to this July. And you can see in Florida way down. And it just depends upon the area too that's in there. Some of those counties are quite small, and they're not one of the biggest metros in the United States. The bigger metros are actually not down as much in Florida. And you could see up in Portland and in Seattle down 0.4%. So while it might be annually down 0.4%, you have to understand what that means. And you can actually see in the Northeast and in the upper Midwest, you are actually seeing positive numbers, and some of them are quite positive as well. So you really need to know where you are in the country because it all has to do with supply and demand. There is still very, very limited supply in the Midwest as well as the Northeast. That's where you have the most limited supply, which is why values are continuing to rise in this marketplace. Now, everywhere else, we've had inventory levels go up. And I want to show you this. This is actually Resi Club. Actually, what he did is the Resi Club, they took the entire Zillow's home forecast from July of this year to July of next year. And it was pretty accurate from July of last year to July of this year. I mean, it wasn't that bad. They actually showed that Florida is where we're going to see the most negativity. And it was actually quite accurate. So you can see here, and I'll zoom this in a little bit. You can see where the issues lie. The issues lie pretty much in Louisiana, and there's some in California, but where it's not the biggest metros in California. And but a lot of it is just yellow or maybe a little bit orange, but there's a lot of blue in there as well, and I will break that down as to what all that means. And so that's what I want to do. I want to bring in the math for you so you understand exactly what you're looking at when they're talking about down. In some of these areas in the forecast that they have, it is like Phoenix, for example, it's forecasted to go down 0.6% in a year from July of 2025 to July of 2026. Now, the median sales price is $450,000. That's one of the most recent median sales prices, and that's down $2,700 in a year for 0.6, and which comes out to $225 per month. Now, that is from July of this year to July of next year. That $450,000 house will now be $447,300. Now, if you get the picture there, it's not coming down a whole heck of a lot. $225 per month is not a lot. That means that you're going to have to exercise caution when you're writing offers. You're not going to get a gigantic deal. You're not going to be able to walk into Phoenix and say, yeah, I hear prices are coming down. I'm going to write an offer for this $450,000 house at $420,000. Sellers aren't going to take that, and you're just going to be spinning everybody's wheels. So that's Phoenix. Vegas is slated to go down 0.2% in the next year, which is $880 in a year, which is only $73 down in a month for a $440,000 house. That $440,000 house in an entire year goes down to $439,120. So while that's negative, that's not crashing. That's not where plunging prices, where it's going down 20% or 30%, like so many people are prognosticating and forecasting. They just don't understand the dynamics of the way that the quantitative research works. They don't know how charting works and analytical data and trend setting and understanding what the supply and demand quotients mean. And then we have Los Angeles. It's at $925,000 is the median sales price, most recent one. And it's down 0.1% in a year is what they're saying, which is $925 in a year, which is $77 per month, which that $925,000 house will become $924,075. You get the picture? Yes, it's down, but it's not down a whole heck of a lot. And then there's Seattle. That's slated to go down 0.9%. That $825,000 median will become $817,575,000. So it's going down at a rate of about $619 per month. So over the course of the year, shedding $7,425. Not a whole heck of a lot. And remember, that's 12 months. That's not in a month. You shouldn't expect to pay $817,000 for a home that's at $825 right now. It means that in negotiations, you can get a little bit off of the asking price from month to month. And Dallas, Texas, down 1.3% in a year. That $395,000 median would become $389,865. So that just gives you an idea of some of and down $428 per month. Now, this is monthly, small increments, not gigantic losses. You need to, hedge a little bit and understand what your expectations of the marketplace should really be. It has to do with supply and demand. The supply out there, the number of homes on the market, there aren't that many people that absolutely have to sell, which means there's an extreme stickiness. There's not a lot of foreclosures, that type of thing. Now, out of the over 800 metros, that the Zillow thing has a bunch of metros, and it's far more than many that do 500. Zillow breaks it down and has a lot of metros, and the ones that are slated to go down 10% or more, and there are a few of them. That's 0.8% of all of the metros. Down 5 to 9.9%, that's 5% of all the metros. Down 1 to 4.9%, that's 21%. That's the biggest quadrant. And then down 0.1 to 0.9% is 13%. Now that's 40% of all the metros. And some of these metros are really, really small. A lot of them on this list that are going to be negative are really tiny metros in the states of like Texas and Louisiana and Florida. It's not the gigantic metros. The gigantic metros, when you look at them, don't go down as much. Those are the ones that, if they're bigger, go down between 1 to 4.9%. But you need to know the metro that you're in. You need to understand which, and you can download this data from Zillow to understand which ones it is, because it is a lot of metros. I can't remember. I think it's close to 700 metros, 686, something like that. And the numbers that are down, so the median price of that it will go down is $422,000, the median sales price across the United States for like the month of July. And the median amount down, that's the middle level of all those properties, the 40% that are slated to go down, it's the median amount down is 1.55%. That's 1.55% off of the asking price for the entire year. So that $422,000 home will become $415,459. That's down $6,541 in a year, or down $545 per month. So not a gigantic amount down. That means that first house that you're writing an offer on, that $422,000, maybe you get $421,500, or you might get $420,000 or something like that in these slower months. But then we're going to get to the spring and things will heat up, and it factors all that in for the course of the year in coming up with their annual home price growth or loss. Now, the numbers that are going up, which is 60% of the entire list. So 40% going down, 60% of the metros going up. 23% of them, nearly 1 in 4, are going up between 0 and 0.9%. And 19% between 1% to 1.9, 12% up 2% to 2.9, and 6% of them are actually going up 3% or more. And you have to understand that's the Northeast, the upper Midwest are some of the bigger numbers, but there are others that are even along that Sun Belt that are slated to go up slightly from 0 to 1.9%. So a lot of people will tune this out and say, I don't believe you. This isn't true. But this is how we've been talking about the market for a long time. We talk about the market the way it is so that people understand what's really going on in the marketplace. We really want everybody to have proper expectations. We're not here puffing smoke telling you that it's going to be negative so that we can sell a lot of our subscriptions by being negative, or we're not going to be positive with our pom-poms out. No, we're here to set the reality of the marketplace. We're not here for clicks. We're not here for YouTube to send us a whole bunch of dollars every single month, and that's not how we make our living. Not at all. So what we're here, what our mantra is setting expectations. We see ourselves as in the expectation setting business. And if you don't want to listen to us and want to listen to some of those other people that are out there, you're going to wait a very, very long time for prices to break and crash like what they're talking about. As a matter of fact, your beard will look something like this if you wait the whole entire time, and you will be miserable waiting, listening to all that negativity over and over again that just won't come true. We'll let you know when we see it in the numbers and the economic data and the trends, but we're just not seeing it in any of the trends. So the trend is your friend. We have the healthiest housing stock of all time, and you need to understand that. Rely on proper data and statistics and listen to people that actually have the kind of pedigree like what we have, a quantitative economics and decision sciences degree from the University of California, San Diego. And I've been a housing analyst and been doing this since 1991. So I have many years of going through the savings and loan scandal in the 90s to the Great Recession. And we saw all of it and could see it in the data. And we went through COVID. We went through everything. So we've seen just about every kind of market and understand it inside and out. In order for you to have a crash in pricing, I've said it before, I'll say it really briefly, you have to have three things. And all three of them have to be present in order for values to plunge. And yet we don't have all three. We have one of the three. You have to have a gargantuan amount of supply. Yes, we have more supply, but let me tell you, we do not have a glut of homes available. You also have to have very, very limited demand. We do have very limited demand right now because of home affordability. And you have to have a lot of foreclosures and short sales. We do not have that, and nor are we going to have that. You can see this is the pending home sales index that actually came out, I believe it was yesterday. And you can see each one of these hills is a year, each one of those ups and downs. And you can see the last 3 years. I'm pointing to 2025, but 2024 and 2023 look very much the same. We've had pending sales that have been in the dirt for several years. And what does that mean? That means that we're following the same curve, and pending sales, we have demand that actually just came down, had a waterfall dive in 2022 when interest rates went from 3.25% to over 7% in October, 7.37%. And we've been stuck. Nor do we have extra demand right now. We have the same amount of demand, just give or take a little bit every single month compared to the last couple of years. It's not really changing. People like to write articles about it. People like to talk about it and click on it and get you to click on it. But let me tell you, there was a lot of articles written about this one that just came out yesterday, and it looks very much like last year. So as a matter of fact, it's slightly higher than last year, and nobody talks about that because that definitely won't get anybody to click. And so we do have very, very low demand, but you have this glut of homes that was available in 2006, 07, 08, and it was elevated all the way throughout the Great Recession. That is a glut of homes, and 50% of everything selling in like 09 was a foreclosure or short sale. You compare that to today, and this came out like a little bit over a week ago, and we have 1,550,000 versus or 560,000, 550, I believe, and versus the glut of homes where we had 4 million. We're missing 2.5 million homes in order to have that glut. Just don't have it. We do have a lot more homes in the last several years, but we're comparing when we had nothing to where we are today, and we haven't even made our way to really pre-pandemic levels. Some markets have, and it's the markets that have built a lot of homes and have a lot of new builds that more of those, there are actually more homeowners. And so if you have the same percentage come on, there's actually more sellers. So it's kind of a weird, wonky data line that they're comparing it to back in 2019, which is now how many years ago? That was a long time ago. 6 years ago, and there's many markets where there's been a lot built since then. So, but let's look at the national mortgage, the national delinquency rate across the United States, and you're seeing it at 3.35%. And you can see if you zoom in over there, it is going up a little bit. You got to squint. Yes, there it is. It is going up, but it's still way below the 2000 to 2005 average, and it's nothing near where we were prior to the pandemic or during the pandemic when the delinquency rate skyrocketed. The other skyrocket is when everybody went into forbearance, and that was when the entire economy shut down and we had COVID-19 raging across the United States, and we had the shutdowns across the US. We are still in the dumps as far as the national delinquency rate. So we only have 1 out of the 3 check boxes. We're not going to have plunging prices. So what do you do? If you're a buyer looking to purchase a home and you're getting in a car and you're looking and you're not waiting because you don't want to grow a long beard, you are looking at a lot of homes that, you know what, you don't have to really hurry. So you can take your time, but you have to know your neighborhood. You have to know your city. You have to know each individual home, that there are some areas where it feels a little bit more balanced. And there's some areas where it's a seller's market. Even in the slowest of markets, we are seeing that homes are selling above the asking price, and people are going, how? And let me tell you, everybody's been picking on Phoenix, but they're not down that much on an annual basis. I did it earlier in this broadcast, but you could see right here, this is Maricopa County's closed price breakdown, and you could see that 77% of all the homes that closed in July sold below the original asking price. 13% sold at the original asking price. But guess what? 10%, 1 out of 10, actually sold above the asking price. And you're wondering, how in the world can that happen in a sluggish market? And I'll tell you how that happens. if there's buyers are waiting and they're looking at their phones for something new to come on, and something new comes on, they go, wow, that one looks really nice. Look at all the stuff that they did. Oh my gosh, and it's priced right. I want to go see that. They call their real estate professional, they go see it, and 5 other buyers do the same exact thing because they're all looking at their apps, and something new comes on, they're excited about. 5 others go, and all 6 of them write offers. So now you have 6 offers written on this one home in a sluggish market. 6 offers, six buyers, and there's how many sellers? 1. That's a supply and demand thing where there's 1 seller, 6 buyers. Somebody's going to go up $1,000 or $2,000 above the asking price, and they're going to get the house. Somebody else is going to say, I'm not going above the asking price. Guess what? They're not getting the house. And if I was that buyer that was thinking about going above the asking price by $1,000 or $2,000, I really wanted the home, I'd see how much of a difference that would make in the payment by going an extra $1,000 or $2,000 above the asking price. Not a lot. I think I can scratch out going to Starbucks every other month and get the home that I want. And so really it comes down to supply and demand. And right now what we've had over the last couple of years is we've had the same amount of demand, I showed that, and we're getting a little bit more supply, a little bit more supply, a little bit more supply, and that this is tinkering a little bit in favor of buyers where there's more supply and demand is not changing. However, this thing can change in a minute. We already have interest rates right now today on August 29th for the second day in a row at 6.5%, the lowest rate since October 2nd of last year. It's the lowest rate of this year. And if they continue to go down and we get down below 6.4, which they possibly could later on this year, and the closer we get to 6%, the hotter the market's actually going to get. And you'll be surprised. Last year we saw a jump in demand because we were at 6.1% for 1 week and we were below 6.5% for 47 glorious days. And we saw demand go up in the fall market, in which it never does. And then it was off to the races, but for a short period of time. Can you imagine if we were below 6.5 for a very long time? It would materially change our market. You'd see demand actually ride up, and which, because it's improving home affordability, millennials and Gen Zs have been waiting for home affordability to improve, and they'll get it. Because you know that we're not going to get plunging prices, but you can get rates that come down to make it easier to purchase, and it will increase your buying power. And now you have this reverse problem where you have more demand and supply actually starts to come down because of the more demand, and that favors sellers. And the market can change really fast, and we'll continue to be bringing this if we do get rates that drive more towards 6%. You'll see this, we'll talk about it, and you'll remember who talked about it. And also, I'm here to tell you one last thing. We used to purchase homes way back in the day when my hair wasn't white, and you would put a lot of elbow grease in it. Those houses, there's a lot of homes that are languishing on the market, and you're not that excited about it because you have to go in there, you have to paint it, you have to put in new flooring, it might need some new windows, it might need some a new lawn, new landscaping, curb appeal, a lot of different things. There's reasons these houses have been sitting. Those are good targets to go after if you're a buyer, the ones that are languishing, because those sellers are more apt to negotiate, and that's who I would go after if it was me looking to buy. I'm Stephen Thomas with reportsonhousing.com. I hope that you liked what you've seen. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. It helps the YouTube algorithm. And our most recent report, because we have housing reports that dot all over SoCal, the Bay Area, Phoenix, and Vegas. And the most recent one that came out to all markets is the Buyer's Roadmap. The next one comes out Tuesday after Labor Day. So stay tuned for that. And if you want a free month, utilize the coupon code BUYING. Thank you so much for joining us for another housing debrief. I hope you have a fantastic Labor Day weekend, and we will see you next week.